Discover the heartwarming truth. How a wife transformed pain into power on her 30th birthday. Sarah stood in the kitchen as the sun peeked through the window, casting light on the stack of bills piling high on the table. The only sound was the fierce ticking of the clock, marking the days left until her 30th birthday, a birthday that, for most, signaled joy and celebration, but for her felt heavy with grief and uncertainty. Her chest tightened as she thought of her mother, the heart of their family, who had passed away just months ago. The ache never truly left, weaving sadness into her daily routine like a dark thread in a bright tapestry. Between the demands of her job as a dedicated school teacher and raising her two little ones, Sarah's days were filled with hustle. She was a superhero and on some days a weary warrior. Her husband's sudden job loss had added a layer of stress she never imagined facing. The relentless worry gripped her heart. Sam, her husband, tried so hard to stay positive, but she knew the strain was evident in his eyes. Together, they were a team buried under the weight of single-income living. Meanwhile, her sister Jessica was a shadow in the background, always distant yet impossible to ignore. Sarah felt the rift between them widen as Jessica chased dreams in the city, leaving Sarah with the burdens of family expectation and responsibility. Abandonment festered like a thorn in her heart. "You don't understand," Sarah whispered into the empty room, a wave of frustration rising within her. Just then, a knock broke her thoughts. It was Mrs. Thompson, the charming neighbor from down the street, a woman whose kindness knew no bounds. "Just bringing over a pie," she said brightly, her warmth filling the kitchen as if it were sunshine. Sparking a memory, Sarah murmured a thank you. How would she manage without the town's support? People were beginning to organize a fundraiser for her, their way of backing one of their own. Little by little, she felt layers of despair peel back to reveal a flicker of hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As her birthday drew near, the anticipation was mixed with dread. When Jessica announced she'd return home to celebrate, Sarah felt her heart drop. Old wounds still hummed with the bitterness of unspoken words. She was excited but terrified. Would they clash once again? Or could this be a chance to finally address their tangled past? The day of the celebration arrived, and the air buzzed with laughter and music. But as Jessica walked into the room, the atmosphere shifted like the sudden gusts of a storm. The sisters exchanged hugs that felt both warm and guarded. Suddenly, feelings spilled over like a pot left boiling on the stove. Sarah's pent-up frustration surged into words, forcing her to confront everything: the grief, the disappointment, the responsibility that had once felt manageable, but now lay heavily on her shoulders. In this chaotic moment of vulnerability, with friends and family looking on, Sarah took a deep breath. The floodgates opened, exposing all that lay beneath. Both sisters stood at the edge of a divide, wrestling with pain but on the brink of understanding. As the clock ticked toward the end of her birthday, Sarah found herself at a crossroads, choices hanging in the air like stars waiting to be claimed. Would she step toward forgiveness or let resentment linger? There, amidst the swirling echoes of laughter and memories, she felt the weight of her mother's love urging her forward. What would she choose, and how would it shape not only her life but the lives of those around her? The room was thick with emotions. As the last notes of the birthday song faded, Sarah looked around at the faces of loved ones. Each smile felt like a lifeline, but her heart was heavy. A knot of uncertainty twisted in her stomach. Just when everything seemed to reach a crescendo, she could feel the air shift, thickening with unspoken words. Jessica, her sister, stood across the room, her joy a brittle facade. Eyebrows knitted together, she flicked her gaze down to the floor before finally meeting Sarah's eyes. "I didn't expect things to feel so complicated," she said, her voice just above a whisper. The confidence she usually wore seemed stripped away. "It is complicated," Sarah admitted, her voice shaking slightly. "I felt so alone, Jess. I can't keep pretending everything's fine." The weariness in her voice shattered the polite laughter around them. "I thought you were doing okay," Jessica replied, hurt flickering in her eyes. "I thought you were strong enough to handle this." Strong enough? The words hung in the air like smoke. Sarah took a step forward, heart pounding. And what if I'm not? What if I'm just tired of being strong? I lost Mom too. It's like I meant to carry her legacy all alone. Jessica's expression softened, and Sarah could see the cracks begin to form in her sister's bravado. I didn't mean it like that, she said urgently. I thought we were different people now. I thought it was easier to just run away? Sarah interrupted, her voice sharp. She could feel her heart racing, a mixture of anger and sadness swirling inside her. Every word they exchanged felt like layers of ice melting away between them, but it hurt. Jessica inhaled deeply, as if gathering strength from the very air. I regret leaving, she finally admitted, her gaze growing resolute. But it was my way of coping. I thought you'd be okay without me. Without you? Sarah felt her heart break a little more. I'm not okay. I need my sister. Tears pooled in Jessica's eyes, and the tension twisted into something more beautiful and opening, a possibility. Slowly she walked toward Sarah, their frayed connection pulling taut. Can we start over? She asked, voice breaking. Can we just be sisters again? In that moment of raw honesty, surrounded by laughter and music that no longer felt abrasive, Sarah felt her heart surge with something that resembled hope. I want that, she breathed, overwhelmed by the change in the air. It felt like the warmth of sunshine breaking through a storm cloud. Just then, a loud crash interrupted their moment. The decorations that hung above them trembled as a careless guest bumped into a table. Jess and Sarah jumped, laughter bubbling up involuntarily. They exchanged a knowing glance, the ice breaking further. It was in this chaos, this moment of imperfect realness, that they found the courage to reach out for one another. Suddenly, Sarah realized how different her life could be. This wasn't just about healing old wounds. It was about building something new, about reclaiming their bond. The laughter around her felt charged, and for the first time in months, she could imagine a different future, one full of shared struggles, successes, and yes, still moments of profound grief. What if this was the turning point? A soft sigh escaped her lips as a smile spread across her face. Maybe it was time to embrace vulnerability, to welcome the love that was waiting for her with open arms. Maybe it was time to celebrate, not just a birthday, but a rebirth. As she breathed in this newfound energy, a mixture of fear and excitement danced in her chest. She caught Jessica's eye, and they both knew this was just the beginning. But with the path ahead still uncertain, Sarah found herself wondering, what other truths would she have to confront to keep this momentum going? How could she ensure this family connection, this sisterly bond, didn't slip away again? The night was filled with laughter and warmth, yet Sarah felt her heart race again at the thought. What awaited them beyond this night? What new challenges would test their newly rekindled relationship? The laughter around them swirled like warm currents, grounding Sarah in the present. Yet a storm brewed inside her, dousing the sunny moments with whispers of doubt. As the night wore on, Sarah sought Jessica's gaze again. Each smile from her sister felt like a promise, a lifeline she desperately wanted to grasp. Hey, Sarah said, pulling Jessica gently aside into a quieter corner of the room, away from the revelry. Do you think we could talk, just us? Yeah, of course, Jessica replied, eyes wide and earnest. They settled into a small alcove, the noise of the party fading behind them. It felt more intimate here. The world beyond faded, leaving just the two of them, with their raw emotions hanging in the air. Are you okay? Sarah asked, her concern palpable. I mean, really okay? Jessica blinked back, tears. I didn't want to burden you. I thought if I stayed silent maybe it wouldn't hurt so much. She cleared her throat, her voice trembling. But every day without you felt like losing a part of myself. Sarah's heart twisted. I was so angry at you for leaving. I thought you abandoned me. I never realized how much you were hurting too. The truth hung heavy between them. Jessica curled her fingers into a tight fist on her lap. Rob and I have had our struggles. Losing Mom hit us both, but I thought if I distanced myself I could breathe again. I guess I thought you'd understand. I was wrong. The weight of Jessica's words sank in, and Sarah's heart softened. You weren't wrong for wanting to cope. We all handle grief differently. Jessica took a shaky breath. I just want us back, Sarah. The way we used to be. I miss you. Tears pricked at the corners of Sarah's eyes. She reached out, grasping her sister's hand, squeezing it tight. I want that too. But how do we repair this? What if this is just one good night? Jessica shook her head as fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. We have to be honest even when it's uncomfortable. We have to promise to be there for each other. Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded in agreement. You're right. I'm tired of hiding how I feel. Can we also talk about Mom? I think we both need to face it together. Jessica's gaze softened, reflecting the shared grief they had neglected for too long. I've been scared to even mention her. Felt like opening a wound. That's probably why I never wanted to talk about it, Sarah admitted. But I miss her, Jess. I need to feel that connection with you, our shared memories. It's too lonely otherwise. Jessica leaned closer, a new determination shining in her eyes. Then let us share her stories. Let us remember her together. Not as something that pulls us apart, but as something that keeps us connected. As they began to share those memories, the first soft giggles bubbled up between them. They began reminiscing about silly moments. Shared inside jokes, laughter over family holidays, and even Mom's funny quirks. Each memory became a thread weaving their bond tighter. Sarah felt light, the weight of the past shifting into a shared understanding. The laughter echoed around them, now a soothing balm over their wounds. But just as they began to find their rhythm, Jessica's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at the screen, her expression falling when she saw Rob's name. What if, she murmured, apprehension creeping back into her voice. What if what? Sarah asked, feeling tension rise again. Jessica's brow furrowed. What if we deal with things that might push us apart again? The truth might be harder than we think. The music dimmed slightly, filling the space with an unexpected vulnerability. Sarah's heart raced, foreboding settling. This moment was fragile, and the path ahead veiled in shadows. What if we can face it together? Sarah suggested, courage igniting within her. But Jessica's uncertain gaze stared back at her, deepening Sarah's worry. The night's warmth met the chill of reality, leaving Sarah wondering what truths lay ahead that would challenge their bond once more. And were they ready to face them? A silence wrapped around them, thick and cloying. Sarah took a moment to absorb Jessica's troubled expression. This was not how tonight was supposed to go. They had been bursting with laughter, sharing memories, feeling almost whole again. But now the specter of their past loomed larger than ever, overshadowing everything. Maybe, Sarah began, her voice softer. Maybe we should listen to your gut. What if Rob needs to be part of this conversation? Maybe he can help. Jessica hesitated, chewing her lip as she debated the right words. I don't want to bring up old wounds. He doesn't know about, well, Mom. And I haven't told him how much I felt lost without you. Maybe you should, Sarah urged. Maybe you both could use this moment to find common ground. I know he loves you, Jess. Just like I love you. We're all tangled in this mess together. Jessica nodded slowly, searching Sarah's eyes for reassurance. You think it could help? It's worth finding out, Sarah said, squeezing her sister's hand tighter. We're here for each other. That's what tonight is all about, trying to mend, to rebuild. We can't do it alone. Jessica's phone buzzed again, a reminder that Rob was waiting. She took a deep breath, glancing at the screen as if it held all the answers. It didn't, but it signified someone wanting to reach out. Okay, I'll try. But promise me we'll keep this door open? We can't switch back to pretending everything is fine if it's not. Agreed, Sarah promised, a wave of determination washing over her. No more hiding. Just honesty. With that, Jessica sent a quick reply, her hands trembling slightly as she typed. Sarah held her breath, sensing the weight of the moment. Would Rob be receptive? Would he understand what Jessica was feeling? Or would it lead them further down the path of hurt? As they leaned against the wall, Sarah felt a swell of protectiveness for her sister. She reached out, brushing a few stray hairs behind Jessica's ear. Remember what Mom used to say? It's okay to let things fall apart. Just be ready to pick up the pieces together. Jessica chuckled softly through the tension, the familiar phrase smoothing some of the edges. She always had a way of putting things, didn't she? Minutes felt like hours while they waited for Rob's response. Just as the anxiety began to seep into every crevice of their reunion, Sarah's phone vibrated in her pocket. The sound echoed into the silence, drawing both their gazes. She pulled it out, hopeful but anxious, her heart fluttering. A new message from her best friend, Amy, flashed across the screen. I need you right now. Can you meet me? It's urgent. Sarah's heart sank. It was a gut punch after the small patch of hope blossoming between her and Jessica. I have to respond and see what's up, she said reluctantly. Go, Jessica said, urging her forward. I'll be okay. I need to talk to Rob. Sarah felt the weight of leaving. We're on the same path now, okay? Don't let fear take hold again. Promise. Jessica managed a fragile smile as Sarah stepped into the crowd. She felt the buzz of uncertainty swirling around her. Could they really confront the pain they were carrying? As she approached the door, anticipation and dread twisted in her stomach. She couldn't shake the feeling that everything was precariously balanced, and the next conversation, whether with Amy or Jessica, would tip them in a direction they could never predict. Suddenly, Jessica's voice called out from behind, breaking through the noise. What if we're just on the brink of something new? But that question lingered unresolved as Sarah stepped into the hallway. What awaited her outside could shatter their fragile connections or mend them completely. And she wondered, would it truly bring them back together? Or would it push them further apart? Sarah stepped out into the dimly lit hallway, the sounds of laughter and chatter fading behind her. She leaned against the cool wall, heart beating with a mix of urgency and concern. She quickly typed a response to Amy, her mind racing through the worst-case scenarios. What could possibly be so urgent that it needed her right now? Before she had time to finish her message, a small group of partygoers brushed past, and she caught snippets of their conversation. They were discussing old friends, broken hearts, and the weight of unshared truths. The words settled heavily on her chest, amplifying her anxiety. Everything okay? A familiar voice interrupted her thoughts as Rob approached, his brows slightly furrowed. Hey Rob, she said, forcing a smile but feeling the pull of Jessica's situation tugging at her. Just dealing with a text. He glanced behind her, appearing to read the emotions etched on her face. Is it Jess? No, it's Amy, Sarah said, pinpointing her best friend's name as a shield. She needs me for something. I'm sorry to leave like this. Rob's expression shifted, concern evident in his eyes. You should go. I can check on Jess. He paused. Maybe I should check on Jess, actually. Really? The offer both surprised and relieved her. That would be great. I think she's ready to talk. As Rob nodded and stepped back into the party, Sarah felt a pang of guilt for abandoning her sister. Yet this was exactly why they had fought through the darkness in their past for moments like these. She inhaled deeply, letting her own worries wash over her like waves. She wasn't sure what awaited her outside, but it would have to wait. She quickly sent her message to Amy, then made her way outside into the chill of the night air. The cool breeze hit her face like a slap, but it also felt rejuvenating. She rounded the corner and spotted Amy sitting on a bench, eyes wet with tears. Panic rose in Sarah's throat. What had happened? Hey Amy, she called softly, her heart quickening. Amy looked up, her eyes morphing from despair to relief. Sarah, I'm so glad you came. I didn't know who else to call. What's wrong? Sarah hurried forward, sinking down beside her. It's my parents there. The words trembled on Amy's lips, and she paused, swallowing hard. They're splitting up. They called me just before I texted. Words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Sarah's heart ached for her friend. Oh Amy, I'm so sorry. That's so tough. I just feel so lost. They were supposed to be the example. They were supposed to stay together, Amy said, her voice cracking. They sat in silence for a moment. The weight of Amy's pain echoed the tumult around Jessica and Rob, two relationships swirling in a storm of hurt and longing. It was overwhelming, yet also a reminder of a harsh truth. Nothing was guaranteed, and yet here they were, facing it together. I don't know what to do, Amy finally whispered, looking defeated. Maybe it's about acceptance, Sarah suggested carefully. I know it sounds cliché, but sometimes we can't control everything, even if it hurts. Their gaze met, and in that split second, Sarah understood they were both standing on a precipice. Each of them loomed on the edge of their own battles, but they weren't alone. They had one another to lean on. When Amy nodded, taking in the words, Sarah felt a sense of hope swell within her. Maybe in these moments of shared pain, they'd also discover resilience. As they embraced the moment together, Sarah's phone buzzed once more in her pocket. But this time it wasn't an urgent message. It was Jessica, sending a long-awaited update. A mix of anticipation and dread clutched at her heart. Sarah drew a deep breath. What had Jess decided? What truth was waiting to be revealed? And when a chilling realization sunk in, it hit her. Their paths were colliding with a reckoning, and she could only hope that they would all emerge stronger. Would they truly begin to heal in the aftermath of their revelations, or would the wounds cut deeper than expected? As Sarah hesitated, staring at her screen, her heart raced. There was an urgent pull to understand what Jess was going through. She could feel Amy's sadness beside her, merging into the heavy air. But Jess's situation was different. It had the potential to unravel everything. I have to see what Jess wrote, Sarah said, her voice almost a whisper. Go ahead, Amy replied, her own blue eyes welling with unshed tears, but there was weight in her tone that encouraged Sarah. Just as Sarah opened the message, Jess's words leaped off the screen. I need to talk. Meet me at the park where we used to, you know? Sarah's breath hitched. That park, their sanctuary of laughter, tears, and childhood secrets. She remembered the promises they made there, how they vowed to always be there for one another. But what revelation awaited her now? I need to go, she said, barely looking up. Are you sure? The concern in Amy's voice was palpable, wrapping around Sarah like a lifeline. I'll be right back, she promised. But as she got up, she couldn't help the unease settling into her stomach. With every step towards the park, her mind churned. What could Jess possibly be feeling? Guilt? Fear? Maybe she just needed support. Still, Sarah was terrified of what the conversation could hold. As she reached the park, the moon hung high, casting silver light over the playground swings and slides where echoes of laughter lingered in the soft breeze. Jess stood alone by the old oak tree, her silhouette framed against the night sky. Hey Jess, Sarah called out, trying to mask her anxiety with a smile. Jess turned slowly, her expression unreadable. Thanks for coming. The distance felt palpable, filled with unspoken words. Sarah approached cautiously, the weight of the moment heavy between them. Okay, so what's going on? Sarah asked, her voice gentle but firm. I've been thinking a lot, Jess began, her gaze shifting to the ground. About everything. About us. Sarah's heart jolted. She had prepared herself for heartbreak, but it was the uncertainty in Jess's voice that made her pulse quicken even more. I don't want to keep hiding, Sarah. There are things I haven't said, stuff I'm scared to admit, Jess confessed, her voice wavering. Like what? All Sarah could think was, please don't say it's about us. I'm scared, Jess finally burst out, tears glistening like starlight in her eyes. I'm scared of losing myself, of losing you, of losing everything I thought I had. She broke off, emotions crashing over her like waves. It all tumbled out, feelings of doubt, of being trapped in a life that didn't fit, of wanting more than what they had. Jess, Sarah said softly, stepping closer, it's okay to feel that way. You're not alone. But Jess shook her head, her voice rising in desperation. No, you don't understand. I've made so many mistakes. I don't even know who I am anymore. Sarah reached for Jess's hands, grounding both of them. In that raw moment, she felt layers peeling away. You can grow from this. You don't have to carry it alone. I'm here. Jess's fingers trembled in Sarah's grip, and for a moment, the world around them faded. The night air cooled on their skin, but their connection burned warmly against the chill. Just then, a distant laugh echoed from the party behind them, jolting Sarah back to reality. The laughter felt like a reminder of what was at stake: the friendships, the love, the hope for tomorrow. In that heartbeat, both of them felt a surge of possibility, a chance to transform pain into understanding. What they needed now was courage and truth. But as Jess took a deep breath, Sarah knew the hardest words were still left unspoken. What kind of truth would emerge from their shared darkness? And as the weight of the moment pressed on, Sarah could only hope that their honesty would lead them to healing, or send them spiraling further apart. What choice would Jess make? Jess's breath hitched as she stared at the ground, her fingers in Sarah's grip trembling slightly. The silence stretched between them, heavy and charged with everything that had been left unsaid. It was a darkness neither of them wanted to confront, yet there they stood, rooted in that moment. Sarah, Jess finally whispered, swallowing hard. I've been thinking about me leaving. The way my life is now, it just feels so wrong. I can't keep pretending I'm okay with everything. The sharpness of her words sliced through the night air, and Sarah felt her heart drop. "Leaving?" she said, her voice barely a murmur. "What do you mean? I thought I could fit into this perfect little box that everyone expects me to be in," Jess continued, tears spilling down her cheeks. "But it's suffocating me. I don't want to be the girl who settled for less. I want to be me." Sarah's chest tightened as the weight of Jess's confession hit her. She had seen this struggle before, witnessed the quiet battles Jess fought in her mind. But leaving what? Us? The friendships? The life we've built together? Jess nodded slowly, her eyes shimmering like glass. "I know how this sounds. It feels selfish, but I need to find out who I am without all this weight. I can't keep living for everyone else. I have to do this for me." Each word hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Sarah could feel the ache of Jess's heart pounding against her own, a symphony of fear and pain that resonated between them. "But we've always been in this together." Sarah felt her voice quiver with emotion. "How can we keep going if one of us is thinking about leaving?" Maybe it's not about leaving each other," Jess replied, her voice softening as she searched for the right words. "What if I just need to figure out who I am so I can be a better friend? A better partner? I can't keep being half of myself." Sarah's heart raced, tasting the bitterness of betrayal mixed with the sweetness of understanding. Jess was right, and deep down she knew it wasn't just about their friendship. It was about growth, about facing inner shadows they had both avoided for too long. "Jess, what if?" Sarah hesitated, feeling the tremor of hope sparkling within the despair. "What if us taking a step back could actually be the push we both need to grow? What if we could still support each other, even amidst this chaos?" Jess blinked, the raw vulnerability in her gaze stirring something deep within Sarah. "You mean separate but not severed?" "Exactly. We can talk, we can be there for each other as you explore this. I don't want to lose you, but I also want you to find happiness." The air shimmered with possibility. Could they navigate this maze together? Could they hold each other accountable while allowing the freedom to discover themselves? "I'm scared," Sarah just confessed, her voice trembling. "What if I find I don't need you anymore?" "Then at least I'll know you're happy," Sarah said, forcing a smile even as her heart ached. "And I'll still be here cheering you on." Jess looked into Sarah's eyes, searching for truth, for commitment. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely," Sarah replied, the conviction clear in her voice. "But it will require a lot of honesty from both of us. Okay?" "Okay," Jess whispered back, a fragile smile breaking through her tears. But even as relief settled into their hearts, the weight of uncertainty loomed. How would things change, and could they keep their bond intact amid this transformation? As the laughter from the party faded into hushed whispers, both girls felt the thrill of new beginnings wrapped in the ache of potential endings. As the night deepened, long shadows crept between them, hinting at the challenges ahead. What awaited Jess on this journey of self-discovery? And what if the truth she found led her somewhere Sarah couldn't follow? The horizon was shifting, and they both stood on the precipice, hearts in hand, ready to leap into the unknown. Jess felt the cool breeze wrap around her, a gentle reminder of the world outside the bubble they had created together. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I guess this is it, huh?" she said, forcing her voice to lighten, though the heaviness lingered in her chest. Sarah shook her head, a determined look settling on her face. "No, this isn't the end. It's just a new chapter. We just have to be brave enough to turn the page." Jess smiled, appreciating Sarah's unwavering support. They both knew it wouldn't be easy. As the faint music from the party echoed in the distance, Jess felt a mixture of excitement and dread simmering within her. What if taking this leap led her to uncharted territory, one where she had to learn to stand on her own without Sarah by her side? "Can I tell you something?" Jess asked, glancing at Sarah, who nodded earnestly. "I've always been scared of disappointing you. I didn't want to seem like I was abandoning you, or the life we've built. What if I find something out there that I love more?" "Then that's amazing," Sarah replied, her voice steady and warm. "But remember, loving yourself doesn't mean you love me any less. We'll always have a connection no matter where you go." Jess felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Trusting that their bond could withstand this shift was a comforting thought, but doubts crept in, whispering fears of unknown paths. "I don't want to come back and feel like a stranger in a place that feels like home," she confessed, her voice trembling with the weight of worry. "Home is not just a place, Jess. It's people, it's us, Sarah reassured her, squeezing her hand tighter. You have to go find that part of yourself and I'll be right here rooting for you. Just don't forget to check in, okay? Okay, Jess replied, feeling lighter. They both understood that this journey would require vulnerability, a commitment to share her discoveries despite the weight they carried. As they walked back toward the party, Jess noticed subtle changes in herself. Each step forward felt like shedding a layer of expectations, a sense of liberation entwining with her nerves. The night was far from over, but it had started to blossom into something different for her. Inside, the atmosphere was filled with laughter, vibrant conversations, and the clinking of glasses. Sarah and Jess exchanged looks, a mutual understanding passing between them. This was still their space, yet both sensed the flickering flame for exploration igniting around them. Let us get a drink, Jess suggested, eager to embrace the moment as the night unfolded. They found their way to the bar, where colorful cocktails sparkled like stars. So what's the first step? Sarah asked, raising her glass toward Jess. What do you want to find first on this journey? I think I want to dive back into my art, Jess replied, the excitement in her voice bubbling up. It's always been my sanctuary. I just stopped believing I could be good enough. You're incredible. Remember that, Sarah said, clinking her glass against Jess as they drank. Every sip marked a small victory. Jess felt the world around her begin to spin differently, the energy buzzing with possibilities. This was a celebration of freedom, even amid the looming uncertainties. But even as the night grew wilder, Jess couldn't shake a heaviness growing in the pit of her stomach. What if the deeper she ventured into her own heart, the less she would be able to understand Sarah's? Would the love they forged withstand personal discoveries, or would growing apart lead to irreparable distances? Jess stole a glance at Sarah, who was laughing with friends, radiating the warmth Jess had always sought. Could she really step into her own light without potentially dimming Sarah's? The questions loomed larger in her mind, but she was determined to navigate them. Tomorrow would hold the first steps, but tonight? Tonight was just the beginning. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, Jess felt the adrenaline rush of change thrumming beneath her skin. She would have to embrace the unknown no matter how frightening it felt. A loud cheer erupted as the countdown began, but Jess stood still, heart racing. Could that inner journey lead them both to a place where they could thrive separately? With one last resolute breath, she grinned, ready to leap, ready to discover the heart of who she truly was. What awaited her as the clock struck 12 and she stepped into the new year? The moment the clock struck 12, a wave of exhilaration washed over Jess. The crowd erupted into cheers, voices mingling in a symphony of celebration. It felt electric, like a jolt igniting new possibilities within her. She could hardly believe this was the start of her new journey. Yet it all felt surreal against the backdrop of familiar faces. Happy New Year, Sarah called, her voice jubilant as she wrapped Jess in a tight embrace. The warmth reminded Jess of their unwavering bond, one she was determined to honor with every step she would take. Breaking away, Jess caught sight of the glittering confetti falling like colorful snow. It swirled around them, tiny bits of hope scattering through the air. Let's make a pact, Sarah said, eyes sparkling. For every goal you achieve this year, I'll achieve one too. It'll keep us connected. Jess stared at her friend, surprised but touched. What do you have in mind? Sarah hesitated for a moment, then grinned. I've always wanted to travel to a new city alone. Just to explore, to find myself, you know? It was a simple wish, yet it sent shivers through Jess. The freedom in it reminded her of her own. That's amazing. We'll both be on our journeys, she said, feeling the connection deepen. With newfound determination, Jess held up her glass once more, feeling a smile stretch across her face. Here's to us. To new paths, new art, and every step toward brighter days. They clinked their glasses together, and Jess sipped, relished at the work in progress. What if this leap could bring her somewhere beautiful, but might also mean navigating uncomfortable truths? With resolve igniting within her again, she picked up her brush, ready to venture deeper into the unknown. But as she did, a stray thought pulled at her heart. What if leaning into this creativity put her relationship with Sarah to the test? How would they both emerge changed on this journey of self-exploration? The brush hovered over the canvas as various possibilities flickered in her mind. Would this be the moment that truly defined her? Jess felt the weight of that question as she continued to paint her truth bold, uncertain, and exhilarating. What would she discover next as she dove deeper into her art and herself? With each stroke, Jess felt more alive than ever. The colors on the canvas danced under her hands, mirroring the whirlwind of emotions swirling in her heart. This was freedom. This was an expression of everything she felt and had kept bottled inside for far too long. Yet, beneath the surface of her joy, a current of worry still swirled. How would this journey change her? Would her friendship with Sarah survive her transformation? Leaving the familiar felt risky, almost terrifying. What if she ventured too far into this new world and lost sight of where she came from? As she stood back to admire her work, a splash of blue caught her eye, a vibrant color representing both sorrow and hope. It echoed the duality of her feelings. She thought of Sarah, of the laughter they had shared and the vulnerability that had brought them closer together. Their promise lingered in her mind, blooming like the flowers of spring. Meanwhile, Sarah buzzed with endless possibilities at the party, the energy around her like fireworks in the night sky. Her friends surrounded her, laughter spilling out like a burst dam. Yet, amidst the chatter, a part of her felt incomplete. She longed for her dear friend, for their connection to deepen rather than drift apart. "Let us make some New Year's resolutions," a friend shouted, raising a glass. The energy was infectious, but Sarah felt her mind falter. She wanted to find more of herself too. An adventure awaited, but it felt dim against her heightening fears of losing Jess. In moments of wild laughter, her own voice echoed bravely, "I pledge to travel somewhere new, finding my strength outside this circle." Cheers erupted and she felt a little spark ignite within her. Back at the art room, Jess continued to find solace in her creativity. The once dull corners now brimmed with life as she layer by layer peeled back the old to reveal the new herself. With each brushed line, she unearthed memories and hopes, fears and dreams. She was starting to define herself in ways she had neither expected nor thought possible. Suddenly, Jess's phone buzzed again. It was Sarah. "I miss you. Can we talk?" The words tugged at the fabric of her heart. Her chest tightened. What was Sarah feeling at that moment? A sense of urgency washed through her. Taking a deep breath, she decided then and there. No more running from her feelings. She wouldn't let fear govern her actions, both for herself and for Sarah. They needed each other right now more than ever. Not hesitating, she replied, "Let us meet at our old park." "It's time." Sarah awaited Jess's arrival, anxiety bubbling in her stomach. They were on the brink of something massive. She felt the weight of everything unsaid, of everything they had been through. The shadows of past tensions loomed, but tonight was about connection, supportive understanding and healing. Underneath the clear night sky, two sisters intertwining their paths could rewrite the script of their lives. When Jess arrived, the moon illuminated their faces like a spotlight on a stage. The air felt charged with emotions. Jess stepped toward Sarah, wearing the colors of her experience boldly, a blend of fear and excitement. "Hey," Sarah greeted, her voice brightening at Jess's presence. "You look different." Jess noticed the affection in Sarah's eyes. "I feel different," she nodded, summoning courage. "I've been painting again, finding bits of myself that got lost along the way." "That's amazing," Sarah gushed, truly excited. But beneath her enthusiasm, she wrestled with the little voice saying, "What if they drift apart?" "I want to talk about us," Jess said, cutting through the static. "About what growing means for our friendship and how it all fits together." The honesty hung like a heavy mist. Both sisters stood poised in silence, searching each other's faces, for validation, for understanding. "Let us not pretend," Sarah finally said, feeling the walls of doubt tumble down. "I want you to grow, but I don't want to lose you. You won't lose me." Jess's voice was steady. "I've been afraid to show my true colors. Maybe we can embrace that together," Sarah suggested, hope shimmering between them. "What if we anchor ourselves to one another, yet still forge our own paths?" For the first time, Jess felt the tension within her ease. "Idea like that," she blurted, finally releasing years of holding back. "I think we both deserve to flourish even if it looks different. Then let us promise to keep communicating, no matter how challenging it feels." "This is about both of us," Sarah declared, the dawn of their renewed sisterhood lighting the dark as they embraced tightly. The warmth flowed between them, igniting a spark of hope illuminating their intertwined futures. Missed words, shared pain, and love raw and deep brought them closer. It was indeed a new chapter, one where they both could shine. The night felt light, lifting the burdens of the past. Jess and Sarah stood finally free, ready to explore the paths ahead, together yet as individuals, fueled by rebirth. "Hear us to us," they whispered together, eyes sparkling at the possibilities. Under the starlit sky they both realized the truth. They were stronger together, intertwined in a future of growth and love. And with that, the bond they renewed was not just a promise. It was a declaration of resilience, ready to face whatever might come. But wait, if you felt inspired by their transformation, subscribe immediately to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this channel. And please, comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let your voice be heard. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your love and understanding. Let us keep the journey going. Your support matters now more than ever.